Alright, Boring Review Nation, Nick here.
Gabe.
And we are as excited as any other video, but we are super excited today because we are talking about
Joker.
Joker, directed by Todd Phillips, who now in my mind is a genius.
You know what? When I'm like, Todd Phillips, the guy from The Hangover, are you kidding me? The internet exploded. People were like, no way. This is going to be another...
And there's nothing wrong with The Hangover, but you don't think automatically Joker-esque.
Joker-esque? No, absolutely not. But he proved everyone wrong, and I'm telling you right now, this guy, wow.
Sign him up.
Sign him up. Sign him up.
And he may never do another thing as good as this is, but man, it doesn't matter. Because this movie is phenomenal.
I tell you what, I was not expecting that. And obviously this movie is very controversial. Now, first and foremost, spoiler alert. I can't do a reaction, or not even a reaction, but a review without spoilers. I can't do it.
What if we take a page from your book and we start off the first 4 or 5 minutes, right, non-spoiler.
Non-spoiler.
Give them a general feeling, how we feel about it.
Right.
And then you'll have your warning, and if you want to keep listening, right, I don't blame you, but that will be your warning. But we'll start non-spoiler first.
Non-spoiler.
What are your thoughts about this movie, non-spoiler-esque?
Okay, and I mean, you can get most of this just from watching the trailer and from context, basically. This is not a regular superhero movie, okay? It is not, okay? This is a character study. This movie is very intelligent. I was happy the direction that they went as far as being ambiguous with, did this happen? Did this not happen? Or with, even his backstory. And a lot of people were so upset about, the biggest thing about the Joker is that he doesn't have a backstory and it should be multiple choice. And you know what? That just because that's how they did it before doesn't mean that's the way they have to do it now. Everybody loved Heath Ledger's Joker, but they forgot that the Joker's face, if you're gonna go canon by the comic books, it's permanently supposed to be white, and it's the chemicals did that. But at Heath Ledger, you could clearly see there was paint on there because it kept smudging off. So I don't mind if the directors take some liberties, and I think that the liberties they took were fabulous. I mean, what were your thoughts? What did you think?
Well, before I get into it, let me sorry, Batman. We love you, but this is Joker time.
I love it.
I wish there was a Joker symbol on the back. But anyways, I truly loved this movie. I loved watching it. And I went into it knowing, like you said, it's not a typical superhero film. It's an origin film. It's going to be different. It's going to be more of a slow burn. But for me, the pacing was fantastic. Was it slow? It just depends on how you enjoy movies. If you enjoy films of all types, which we do, you are going to not mind the pacing whatsoever. We get introduced to Arthur Fleck. We get introduced to his family in a natural way. We get introduced to what his life is like, what his job is like. The pacing is fantastic. And usually when I watch any movie, even some movies that I have at the top of the list, movies like Rocket that I keep referencing, I have small issues with those movies. As I was going in, I was accepting everything and saying, yep, that's good. Yep, that's great. And eventually, we'll get to the non-spoiler, I had one problem as the movie was going on, and then that problem corrected itself as the movie went on. Okay. I loved every bit about this movie. I didn't think there was anything that was too over the top. I mean, this is the Joker. His weapon of choice is a knife, right? They could have got way more gory and way more violent than they did. I don't know what all the hoopla is. We're not going to go into that because there's plenty of videos dedicated to how people overreacted.
Right.
This is not a movie that you're going to watch and you're going to be inspired to be a serial killer.
No,
not at all.
Stop it.
This is about mental health. And that is still non-spoiler, but that's the biggest thing you got to understand. This is about mental health, and this is about what happens when, and you've said it to me many times, I'm going to steal it from you, when society fails a person. But before we go more into that, overall, I loved everything about it. I accepted everything they gave us. I am so glad this movie exists. And Joaquin Phoenix, we haven't mentioned it yet, did a phenomenal job. Phenomenal job. He was Arthur Fleck. He was not afraid to show different sides of that character. There's just so much that we love. But that's all I can say non-spoiler.
And I know that it's going to be a little recency bias, but remember when Avengers Endgame came out and I'm like, you know what? Robert Downey Jr., give him the Oscar right now.
He's not in the conversation.
Yeah. Okay. I was wrong. I can admit it. I was wrong. Okay. Joaquin Phoenix, give him the Oscar right now. Holy cow. This was an unbelievable acting performance. Let's give our grades for those people that are going to tune out after we go ahead and give them their spoiler warning. What did you think?
I am going to defer to beauty first. You go first.
Okay, well, you should say age, but definitely not beauty.
Switcheroo.
I will say I will give this one an A+. That's how good it is. I mean, it was such a breath of fresh air that it's so different. And you didn't need the typical comic book movie, because a lot of people were talking about, comic book movie fatigue and this is that. This was not that. They took a comic book character and then built a story around that character, and it was a character study. Again, they addressed something that's really relevant today, which is mental illness, and I thought it was fabulous. The visuals, some of the shots were, I think this movie was filmed, and we talked about this, I have to do the research on it. I know it was filmed in New York, okay, but that looked like Bedford Park. And I think he even says the movie Bedford. I only say that because that's where my dad's house was, and I used to go visit him sometimes.
He called it first few minutes of the film, and he saw the stairs.
And I saw those stairs there like that in the Bronx, so I think that's where it was. But some of the shots were just amazing. So it's going to win the Oscar, and I give it an A+. What do you think?
He's already calling it now.
I'm calling it now.
I'm completely agree with you. It's A+. Now, could someone watch this movie and have problems with it? Sure. Again, absolutely. It depends on what you're going in to see. It is, like he said a million times, not a superhero movie. But if you love film and if you love this character, even though he's the bad guy, I mean, who doesn't love the Joker? Come on. Then you are going to love this movie, but you've got to be willing to accept what they give you. They are not going to throw something at you that's crazy, but you've got to accept the movie for what it is. It's an A+. Once again, we keep talking about non-conventional superhero movies. We're going to get into that first thing. At least I am, after the spoiler warnings out there. Give it an A+. My hat's off to the director, the actors, the film writers. I have a lot of respect for someone like Todd Phillips who can direct and write. Now, he had Scott Silver helping with the screenplay, but it's a hard thing to do. Yeah. I love acting, I love plot, I love direction, and this movie had all those elements in spades. So there's our non-spoiler. We hope you enjoyed that. If you're going to leave right now, don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and then come back and check out the rest after you see it. But here comes the spoilers.
Spoilers.
There it goes. My hands are moving. That is the only special effects you get. I'm not even going to write it on the phone.
Spoilers.
Oh, that was pretty good. So let me just start real quick. And the reason why it's not a conventional superhero movie is you have nobody who's going to destroy the world, and someone's got to stop them.
Exactly.
You don't have that at all, and that is in just about every single superhero movie. Whatever's going on, it's going to destroy not just this city, right, not just this town, but the entire world. Excuse me.
Right.
It doesn't have that. It does not have a hero, right? It has someone that we cheer for. I mean, you are Arthur Fleck's best friend throughout that movie. You feel for this guy.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't have that superhero. It has no, it has costumes, but I don't even want to even call his suit a costume. I would call he's getting ready for his appearance on the late night show.
Right.
There's so many things this does not have. That mold was not used whatsoever, but it's a great movie. That kind of an artsy person, but this was a work of art. I'm going to stop talking so you can get a chance, but holy cow.
I think and I mentioned this to you, I think that the problem is that the critics absolutely understood this movie, and they didn't like the message. Well, too bad, okay? Todd Phillips didn't make this for you. The bottom line is...
All movies have great messages?
Come on. All that, you're empathizing with the villain. First and foremost, you should at some point, because you find out how we, as a society, have failed them, and failed all these people with mental illness. So we are responsible for creating them. That's just the reality behind it.
Neglect.
Okay, so I'm sorry that it might offend those critics' sensibilities, but let's just look, is this movie relevant today? Absolutely. And it's funny that they chose the time period they did, 1980s. That's when, a lot of cut in medical funding happened. A lot of the asylums and the mental hospitals closed around the country. And as a result, we see what we're seeing today, okay, where we have parents that say, yeah, I knew there was something wrong, but I couldn't get any help. I couldn't get them any help. So I'm sorry, but I think they understood it, and they just said, well, I don't want my entertainment to have social commentary in it. Stop it, okay? No, here you got to see that gradual descent.
Perfect.
It's not something that happens overnight. It's not one bad day like there was, the comic.
And that's such a weak plot point. Not to cut you off. That is one bad day.
One bad day. No, it is a series of things that happens, and this guy is constantly screaming for help. There's a scene where he's sitting down with the psychiatrist, and she tells him, "Well, how do you feel? How do you feel being out?" Because it's implied that he was in a mental institution before, and he says, "I think I was better when I was inside." What does that tell you? This guy's asking for help.
And not just that, but since you brought that up, there's a part where he says, I think I need more help. I think I need more medication. Right. And she looks at him like anybody would and says, you're already on 7 medications.
Right.
We can't give you any more. But when you watch the end of the movie, give him an 8th medication. That guy needs it.
Not that you're condoning his actions, but everything he does, and this is why I love this movie. The biggest problem with most comic book movies is what? The antagonist, right? They're all this caricature of a supervillain and no, he had real world motivations, and he didn't. And I mean, from what I saw, he didn't attack anyone who hadn't wronged him. In fact, his very first act of violence, if anything, he was defending a lady that if he wasn't on that train, who knows what would have happened to her, and he was defending himself because the other people attacked him. He retaliated, okay? If you think about...
They were beating him down.
Yeah, exactly. For the most part, everybody he retaliated against had wronged him in some way, shape, or form. So in his mind, he's the hero of his own movie or hero of his own story.
I love that you mentioned that because it is. When you watch this, everybody that he took out did him wrong in some way. Now, did they deserve death? Of course not. But you're dealing with a literal psychopath here who is now off his medication. And he had the perfect line that you hear so much, at least in movies. I don't really know anyone that's on medications like that. But he said, I'm finally off my meds. I feel so much better.
Right.
Not really, but that's how you feel. You feel like yourself or whatever. But yes. He only went after those people that wronged him.
I mean, this is spoilers at this point, so we're going to just go Arthur Murray. And I mean, everybody saw that coming. He was going to kill Arthur Murray. This guy was antagonizing him the entire time and clowning him on national TV. And he was the butt of the joke.
Maury Franklin? Is that
yeah, Maury Franklin. Right.
Yeah.
I said the wrong name.
I'm trying to think. Who's he talking about?
De Niro's character. Robert De Niro's character. Yeah. So, at some point you're like, oh, wow, I can see why he's upset about it. And I can see why he would react that way. Again, I don't think anyone in the movie that he attacked, didn't have it coming with the exception of, and I don't want, that's a huge spoiler, so we'll leave that away until people watch the movie.
Just do it. Just give it.
With the exception of his mom. But here's the thing.
Woo!
Here's the thing.
That was a tough one.
That was a tough one. But you have to understand from his perspective, okay, you lied to me. I just found out you allowed me to be abused, which is probably the reason I am how I am now. And that anger just came out and he lashed out at her. You're supposed to protect me and you didn't. That's what happens, okay? But that was probably, to me, that was the most chilling scene. Nothing else in the movie disturbed me other than that one part.
Oh, yeah.
But you really understood it. But to emphasize the point, when he kills the clown that used to work with him, that got him in trouble, okay, he didn't kill the other clown. He lets him go. It was comedic how he let her go, but that was a fabulous scene.
And someone, I think it was Jeremy John, said it best when he said, that's the Joker right there. We don't know if he put that latch on there just to mess with the little person, but if he did, that's the Joker. You can't predict what he's going to do.
Right.
He thinks things are funny that aren't really funny to everyone else. Yeah. And he let the guy go, and everyone thought for sure, okay, this guy's definitely dead.
That's what I thought, because first
gives him a kiss on the forehead and says, you can go.
It was so funny the way they set it up. He just kills this other clown, right? And this is the only shot-for-shot scene we're going to tell you. Right. So when they first come in there, there's a problem, because he puts a pair of scissors in his pocket. Yeah. He lets them in the apartment, and then he puts the chain lock up top. It's so subtle you may miss it if you didn't really pay attention to it. Then they go back to conversation, and then out of nowhere, he just attacks the guy that's wronged him, that really set him on this downward spiral. And it's the most vicious attack in the movie. That was, whoa. That was graphic, okay? Little kids should not watch that scene. Parents cover their eyes. I saw a whole bunch of younger kids there, by the way.
Oh my gosh. Wow. But it's important for you all who are watching this. We're getting all excited about the Joker movie, about him killing people and getting revenge, and we're talking about it's okay, they wronged him. We're talking about movies here, right. Okay? We're talking about in the movie world, in the story world. We are not talking about in the real world. No way, no shape or form do we condone murder.
Absolutely.
No matter what anyone does to you.
No.
We even preach to our students all the time, you cannot hit someone because they made fun of you.
Right.
But as far as a movie goes, as far as a comic book world, that's what we're talking about. So let's just make sure no one gets too out of hand with that.
Right.
Now, one thing that I loved, and another shameless plug here, in my book right here, the Legend of Sturgis Baraha, when I was creating this book, I was thinking, how can I get a villain that's as awesome and no joke as the Joker without copying the Joker? And the villain is not like the Joker, but I had come up with the idea, the scariest villain is a person that does not care about who he kills,
Right.
no remorse, and even enjoys it. And then when we were watching this movie, Arthur Fleck mentions to someone, I think it was the orderly, when he was trying to get the information on his mom, he said, I did a really bad thing, and I thought I feel really bad about it, but it actually made me feel good.
Yeah.
That is a true psychopath.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, that's the same exact thing I was thinking about when my original inspiration was Heath Ledger's Joker from my villain in my book, and that's it. What's going to happen when, again, in a fictional world, when a character commits murder, they're either going to feel so much remorse, they're going to learn a lesson from it, or they're going to go the other way, that small percent, and they're going to enjoy it, and that's a scary person.
Oh, yeah. True
and
psychopath.
so
True psychopath.
I enjoyed seeing that in the movie because I agree. That is, if they enjoy murder, there's no stopping them.
Right.
No stopping them whatsoever.
Right. But, again, I think going back to our point earlier, he even tells the psychiatrist at one point, you don't really listen, do you? We come in here day after day and we talk and you ask me, do I have any negative thoughts? And he tells her, all I have are negative thoughts. So the whole time he's telling them, listen, I know I'm not right. I need help. And not only are you telling me we're going to cut our sessions because it's no longer being funded by the city, but now you're going to take away my medication?
Where do I get the medication from?
He's screaming for help. He even says, yeah, where am I going to get my medication? And then later on when you see his joke book and he writes down the worst thing about having mental illness is people expecting for you to act like you don't have a mental illness, like you're normal, okay? Again, we all play a part, and when I say all, we're talking about society in creating these people. I finally like that, again, and I love the villains, and we talk about it. I'm a Darth Vader fan, Anakin Skywalker fan, but you have Thomas Wayne, who's running for mayor because he thinks he's the only person with all his money that can go ahead and save the city. And what does he say? He even calls them, they're all clowns, which is why, the movement starts against the rich people. However, he has all this monetary access to be able to save the city, but there's a garbage strike. The garbage is piling up. The city is being swallowed whole by garbage. They're shutting down mental illness facilities and asylums are in all Gotham. He has the power to stop that, but he doesn't. So are you really trying to be a hero? I mean, if you really think about it, did he not think that was somehow going to affect him?
They definitely vilified him, which I wasn't too happy about, but you have to have that antagonist. Nothing I love about this movie is I saw the trailer and I saw this Arthur Fleck. He looks like a loser. How does he become the greatest villain, arguably, in all comic character lore or whatever?
Right.
But Todd Phillips did a great job with this by having it be believable. He's a clown by nature as far as his job.
Right.
That's when the first murders happened, when he's coming off of his job, and the report was a person in a clown outfit.
Right.
He didn't wake up, so I'm going to be the Joker today and start scaring people. It was on accident. And then, like you said, Thomas Wayne mentioned clowns, and the movement started. They hear about this clown. They're being called clowns. Fine. We're clowns. We're sick and tired of being poor and having no help or assistance, so we're going to fight the system.
Right.
And then he's even there amongst the crowd, and he's like, yeah, this is cool.
Yeah.
They have no idea I started this. I don't even know I started this. I don't know if I believe in it. And then he goes in the subway running from the cops, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then even when he's in the late night show, his plan was to commit suicide and send that message to society. And then once again, and it's my favorite shot in the entire movie. My favorite shot. He is in the back room there, the green room, whatever they call it, when he's waiting. And he's smoking a cigarette, and the lighting behind him is like a purpley red or whatever. And he's just sitting there listening to the late night host, Robert De Niro, clown him some more, make fun of him some more. And in my opinion, he makes the decision, you know what? No, I'm not going out. I'm going to get some revenge on this guy.
Right.
And that shot with him saying nothing, I love that shot. And then he flips the script. He goes to the camera. He does he is fully the Joker at that moment.
Right.
That's all. And then they cut him off. And, I mean, he had no plan of escape.
Right.
He admitted to the murders. He shot the guy on TV. We see him get arrested. And then you have that great scene where he gets out of the car. He's bleeding from everywhere. And I just love that I saw it. He takes the blood and he makes that smile. And he's sitting there. I mean, it's a creepy, chilling movie. But it was done so perfectly. I just love this movie.
I mean, I think that those were, I mean, the last probably 30 minutes of this movie from, I mean, that part where the police go to arrest him and then he escapes the train, get into this. It's.
I mean, the dude's dancing. He sees the cops. Oh no!
Yeah, he's dancing.
It's awesome. That's a Joker thing, right there.
Okay, and here's the one thing that I will say: they should have gotten a body double, or maybe it was intentional. But I always say who's the best runner in Hollywood?
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise. You need head running in a movie? Put Tom Cruise in it,
but
right?
That's what I'm saying. Joaquin Phoenix was completely Arthur Fleck. Even the way he would run, I loved his Arthur Fleck run.
I'm like, man, he runs so bad. It was hilarious.
I just want to know, where did he get that sweet suit from? There's no way he could afford that suit.
But it was a clown outfit as well. It was just a
sweet suit.
It was a sweet suit. But it was a clown outfit as well. You know, I think it was John F. Kennedy that said it in his speech. The one common bond that we all have is that we all inhabit this small planet. So we are all part of the same system. And what happens to someone at the very bottom, as we saw here, can affect somebody at the very top. And that was the message of the movie. I thought it was amazing. It absolutely was not as violent as people say it was. I think that's just nonsense. You know, they were comparing it to Taxi Driver. Okay, full disclosure, I've never seen Taxi Driver. Sorry, that came out like in the 70s, 74, 75.
Have you ever seen Braveheart before?
Yeah.
Holy cow,
Braveheart.
that's a lot of violence.
Forget about that. We did the review on John Wick 3. That was violent, okay? This was not even close to being violent, okay? The message might have been a little bit disturbing and uncomfortable for people who don't like it, but as far as the violence is concerned, it's not violent.
Movie.
Absolutely.
Let us know, not just if you hate it, oh, it was garbage, I didn't like it. Let us know why you didn't like it. Give us your actual thoughts, why you disliked it, if you didn't like it. And if you just didn't like it, then that's fine too. But don't forget to like and subscribe. We are a newer channel. If you're not familiar with Boring Reviews, this is the first time you're watching us, then we do reviews on all different types of things, Indian films, American films. And if you like what you see, show us some love. And if you really want to show us some love, look at the Patreon page.
Absolutely. And, you know, one final thing in the comments, leave us we had this discussion literally the minute we left. And again, probably recency bias at that point. But Chris, who is on the channel with us, and I were like, wow, he is the Joker now. Best Joker. Nick stuck to his guns and was like, no, Heath Ledger still. What do you guys think is the best Joker? You know, I still defend, not that he's the best Joker, but I still defend Jared Leto. But, okay, Jack Nicholson. I mean, there should be...
Not even the conversation.
He said not even a conversation. Okay, but was it Jack? Okay, was it Heath Ledger? Or now, as my favorite Joker, Joaquin Phoenix, man. Joaquin Phoenix.
Always the most recent thing. Heath Ledger's performance was perfection. Joaquin Phoenix's performance was perfection. It's hard to compare him, but I still have Heath Ledger by a nose. But until next time.
Later.